Welcome to another episode of Metal and Beer. Today I'm bringing you one of my top 5, possibly top 3 favorite IPA beers. Now this is called Sunshine City IPA and it's by a brewery called Green Bench Brewing. Now let me tell you briefly a little bit about Green Bench Brewing before we get into the hops, because the hops in this beer is just extremely interesting. It's just got an awesome flavor, hence it's one of my top IPAs. So Green Bench Brewing, they're based out of St. Petersburg, Florida. And St. Pete's a really cool little like trendy but yet laid back and one of the most friendliest cities you'll ever visit. Really cool place. Green Bench Brewing was actually their first microbrewery. Now, there were some challenges as this brewery was starting out. There were some challenges with the city and that sort of thing, and I won't get into all that, but I will leave a link to their About page because I encourage you to read their interesting little story here. They built this brewery on just blood, sweat, and tears and just out of pure passion, never giving up. And now it's like one of the most awesome breweries in the state of Florida, in my opinion. But a real cool place. I've actually been to their brewery a few times. My wife and I live in Seffner, Florida, the Tampa Bay area, so we're only about an hour away. Every time we're in St. Pete, we visit that brewery. Really cool place. So about Sunshine City IPA. So this beer includes 3 different types of hops. So you've got mosaic hops, citra hops, and you've also got a hops called Azacca. Now all 3 hops, as you would imagine, have that tropical aroma and taste. But each of these hops has something quite unique to offer, and I want to go through these real quick so that way you can get an idea of how awesome this beer tastes. Now the mosaic hops, we'll start with that. So that's primarily a tropical hops. You've got that tropical aroma that just hits you right away, but you've also got some citrus, also some floral scents in there, and uniquely you've got this berry medley, kind of underlying berry medley type of flavor. Now the citra hops, of course, you've got that citrus, you got a little bit of grapefruit in there, you've also got some lime flavor in there as well, but this specific hops is really where you get more of that harsh bitterness. Now the Azacca hops, this is where things get interesting. So of course you've got that tropical flavor, you've got that citrus flavor in there, but you've got this combination of spicy mango, pineapple, and tangerine. So think of all those flavors kind of combined into one hop and then add it to these other 2 hops that we've talked about. Now remember, the 1 hops we talked about, the citra, that's your bitter hops, that's your bittering hops. The other 2 have their own little bitterness factors as well, but not near as much as the citra. So your bitterness is not overly bitter, if that makes sense. In fact, the IBU of this beer is 68. A lot of the really bitter IPAs are like 80 plus. And while we're on that note, the alcohol content is 6.8 here. And you guys have heard me say this in past beer reviews when it comes to IPAs. I like the alcohol content to be somewhere between the 6% and 7.5. I just feel like that's a really nice percentage for the IPA to be at so that you don't lose that flavor over the alcohol content, yet it's still got that punch to it. So let's give this a taste. I'm pretending I haven't tried this yet. I've tried this probably like 100 times already. It's good. Awesome, awesome. Another interesting fact about the Sunshine City IPA, this is actually double dry hopped. You've probably seen the acronym, you beer geeks have probably seen the acronym DDH. And for those that may not know, that means that hops were added after the fermentation, and they're actually added twice, typically a week before the beer is kegged, and then once again about 4 days before the beer is kegged. And that supposedly gives the beer a little bit more bite, a little bit more punch. Again, Sunshine City IPA from Green Bench Brewing. Awesome, awesome IPA. Now let's talk about the metal part of metal and beer. Back in 2016, I went to see a very specific melodic death metal, some people call them Viking death metal band in Ybor City. And the band is, well, I'm wearing the shirt, Amon Amarth. And I want to point out a very specific album, which I'm wearing the cover of that album on my shirt. This is actually the shirt I bought at the show in 2016, April 2016 to be exact. So a quick backstory on Amon Amarth and my experience with them. I had discovered them just playing one of my random stations, probably on iTunes. I forget which platform it was, but you know, you start a radio station based on a particular band and it plays songs that sound like that or whatever. And I came across Amon Amarth and I'm like, holy crap, what is this I'm listening to? I was so excited because the thing is death metal, and I love death metal. I love even more melodic death metal. But the thing about death metal is it can kind of be a hit or miss, because we all have our different tastes, just like craft beer. You know, metal, especially death metal, we all have different tastes, and there's certain things that hit me in death metal and a lot of things that it's like, okay, that was good, but just not my thing. Amon Amarth, when I first heard them from just like the first few seconds, I'm like, oh my God, this is what I've been looking for so long. So I immediately fell in love with the band, and then I heard their latest album, which is Jomsviking. Again, the shirt I'm wearing now. Let me stand up so you can see this. Is that not killer artwork or what? That's awesome. So I was just like really in love with this band, and specifically this album when it came out. So of course, when I heard they were coming in town, I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm there. So I went to that show, bought the t-shirt, all that good stuff, and I've just been a really hardcore Amon Amarth fan ever since. What I like about that specific album, I mean, I could talk about the band for days. We just sit here and drink beer and talk about Amon Amarth, you know? But what I like about this specific album, Jomsviking, and I almost want to say it's my favorite album they've done. I'm doing this video in 2020, so they've come out with another album since, Berserker, but I still like Jomsviking holds a very special place in my heart. Maybe that was because that's how I was first introduced to Amon Amarth. Sometimes that has an impact on, you know, what we like, what's our favorite, that sort of thing, because it takes us back to that memory. But this album is so brutal with the vocals, and there's such power behind Johan Hegg's voice, the singer for Amon Amarth. Now on top of that, you've just got like a blend of melodies going on throughout the entire album. I mean, every guitar progression that they play tells its own story, and everything just kind of fits together perfectly. So that's an album, if you have not heard that yet, that's definitely something you want to hear. And I'll actually leave a link to their very first track on that album called First Kill, which is an amazing song. I'll leave a link to that video on YouTube in the description of this video as well. But yeah, definitely check that band out. They're very much worth listening to, especially if you like that melodic death metal style of music. Again, it was just one of those things for me. It just hit me like a 2-ton heavy thing. And that was a Queensryche pun. And again, the beer for today for this video is the Sunshine City IPA by Green Bench Brewing. I want to just highlight that one more time, because like I said, guys, it's probably, I could safely say it's in my top 3 of my favorite IPAs, and at least I can tell you it hasn't changed from my top 5 since I've had it, because you know, we go through our little phases. It's like, okay, this is our favorite beer today, and tomorrow to be something different. But this has been kind of unchanging, I can tell you, from my top 5. I'd say right now, safe to say right now, it's in my top 3. So definitely worth tasting this if you're ever in this area. On that note, let me know what IPA you love the most that's in your area that's local. I always like to support local as much as we possibly can. I think that's important to kind of help the community grow and that sort of thing. I could do a entirely different video on that as well. But guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Remember, if you want to listen to my music as well, I've got links in the description of this video where you can go check that out. I'll see you guys on the next video.